Hello and welcome to your early Premier League predictions from myself, Richie, and Oran. Oran, how are we?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Can't complain. For those of you that just watched our recent video, you're probably thinking, have the Bottom Bins boys got a new studio? No, we've hijacked Oran's living room. We have. Look, needs must.
Needs must, and thank God my parents are away on holiday.
Happy days. Makeshift studio. Look, you've even got the Bottom Bins logo in there as well. We've got a ring light here. Professional production, guys. Okay, come on. You know what to expect when you come over to the Bottom Bins.
It's the Bottom Bins.
Owen, a few categories to run down. So I think the first one, the obvious one to start off with, is who's going to win the 24-25 Premier League season?
I'm calling it, guys. I do it every year. But the optimism is there once again. Manchester United are going to win the Premier League. So they're not. Look, that's what I want to say. I'll be honest. I want to say Man United's going to win the Premier League. Do I think Man United's going to win the Premier League? Yes, I do think Man United's going to win the Premier League. Eric Ten Hag is going to prove everybody wrong. Man United's going to win the Premier League. May as well double down on it. Yeah, we're going to win the Champions League too, even though we're not in it.
I love the optimism. I'm going to try and break my 3-year duct here. So I've backed Arsenal for the last, really from we started the Bottom Bins, I've backed Arsenal. Why? I don't know. But I'm going to go it again. I'm going to go Arsenal. I think if Arsenal go into the market now, yes, they've been quiet so far. Calafiori looks like it's maybe stalled a wee bit. But if they manage to get Calafiori, who's a top defender, if they also manage to get themselves a prolific number 9, Ivan Toney's available this summer. I think he's made it apparent that he wants to leave Brentford and move on to pastures new. So I think if they manage to get Toney in through the door, they were close to City last season. I think City only won the league by, was it 5-6 points or something last season? Wasn't a whole pile. I think Toney could be the difference maker for Arsenal. I really think he would be the type of player to carry them over the line and get them to that first Premier League trophy and donkeys, really, for them. But I'm going to try and break the duck, lad, and I think Arsenal might just edge it. And, based on what we've seen from City last season, Oran, I know you've backed them to win it, but last year, they still won the Premier League, but by Man City standards last year was probably a poor account of themselves.
Yeah, it was. And look, if they win it this year, it'll be 5 years in a row, which is absolutely insane.
That's like Scotland.
Yeah, like Scotland. Oh, like Celtic. I thought you meant like Scotland and the Euros and stuff. I was like, what are you on about? But no, look, I just think personally, I'll be honest, I do want to say Man United's going to win the league, but I feel this is Pep Guardiola's last year in Manchester City, and I think they're going to do what Liverpool couldn't do last year for Jurgen Klopp. You still look at the calibre of player they've got. Now, if we're being totally honest, it does look like Ederson's going to leave Man City, and I think that's going to be a bigger loss for City than they think it's going to be. By the looks of things and by what different journalists are reporting, Stefan Ortega is going to be their number one goalkeeper, and I do rate Ortega, but his last performance in the Manchester City shirt, competitively was the FA Cup final, and he was at fault for at least one of them goals. The header back from Vardy all over, the communication wasn't there. You could see Ortega didn't scream at him whatsoever, keeper's ball or whatever. So you don't know, it could be shaky enough, but personally, yeah, I feel Man City's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, recent history would dictate that they're the obvious front runners or the obvious favourites to go and do it again. 5 in a row, though, Jesus, that's... Fergie couldn't do that with United. Fergie couldn't even do 4 in a row with United. It's crazy that in this day and age we have a team that, almost every season, universally, football fans around the world will say, the Premier League's already wrapped up. It's nuts, before a ball's even kicked. But
it's not good. It's not good if we're being honest in terms of football. In terms of the biggest league, best league in the world, you can almost near enough guarantee who's going to win the league. You can almost guarantee who's going to be in the top 4. And you can almost guarantee who's going to be relegated. And that shows the difference in financial muscle between the top of the Premier League and the bottom of the Premier League. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense, and it's not necessarily fair on those being promoted from the Championship that they can't compete financially with everybody in the league. And, but I suppose that's just football.
It is, unfortunately. Oran, we'll go to the top four next. So you have City to win. I have Arsenal to win. I'd say I'm going to have City inside my top four. You're probably going to have Arsenal inside your top four. So trying to pick those other two teams then, Oran. We have Liverpool. We don't know what Liverpool's going to look like next season. Chelsea, are they going to look any better under Maresca? Because, towards the back end of last season, Poch had them playing amazing stuff.
They're playing good football.
We've United. Can United return to the top four next year? Spurs under Ange. Quiet transfer market so far, but I've no doubt that they're going to build on what they did last season. Is the struggle of Champions League football going to be too much for Villa, or Newcastle going to be back in the hunt? What's your thoughts?
So you've mentioned a load of teams there. I had a fixed top four in no particular order in my head, but you mentioned a load of teams there that I'd kind of forgot about and, had brilliant seasons. But my initial reaction, we're recording this on the 23rd of July, so this is before any Liverpool fans getting my back, right? It's unbiased and it's based off you haven't made a major signing this summer. I don't have Liverpool in my top four. And I think that could be realistic. We don't know what this fella Arne Slot's football is going to be like. We don't know what his style of play is going to be like. And I think Liverpool fans might have to be ready to potentially not be in the top four this year, which is absolutely fine. They can't see that as a crisis. They need to see that as, look, we've got a new manager, we need to trust him. But I don't have Liverpool in my top four. I actually do have Chelsea in my top four. I have Chelsea, Arsenal, and Man United to finish in the top four. Obviously, City to finish first. But in no particular order of Chelsea, Arsenal, and Man United to finish in my top four. I do think that fella Maresca has a bit about him. Working under Pep Guardiola at Man City is only going to benefit you. You see what Mikel Arteta has done. You see what even Erik ten Hag has done at United, having worked under him at Bayern Munich and stuff as well. I feel like Maresca could get the same, if not more, out of Cole Palmer, and he's the ticking time bomb at Chelsea. And as long as he's there, he's going to drag Chelsea through a few results, and I feel it'll be enough to get them back into the top four, which would be huge for Chelsea after two disappointing seasons, if we're being totally honest.
I am largely in agreement with your top four. I have City, United, I have Spurs in there. I think Liverpool's just going to narrowly miss out on the top four, very narrowly. I'm not back in Villa. I think that this, them having their Champions League football, having the league at the weekend, yes, they've already coped with it. They've won a European trophy, but I do expect a bit of a dip in Aston Villa. And to me personally, I think one of the horror stories of the summer is Aston Villa, unfortunately, having to let Douglas Luiz go. Yes, they've replaced him with Amadou Onana. To me personally, it's not the same player. I think Douglas Luiz transitioned into something that was a midfielder that we don't see in world football all that often. He was great on the defensive end, but he also chipped in with goals and assists. And I think that's a player that was almost priceless. And could Villa really afford to lose Douglas Luiz? I don't know. I don't think so. So I have them just narrowly missing out as well. I've gone for United. I'm really hoping that United turn it around this season. I've full confidence in the manager. I'm hoping that, come the end of the summer, we have another 2, possibly 3 in through the door. Some of the dead wood removed, and we're looking at a Man United that's definitely stronger. And I have Spurs in there because they narrowly missed out on it last year. They've signed Archie Gray from Leeds, a really top prospect, a player that could come in. Look, he could be like a Jed Spence. He could come in and do absolutely nothing. Yeah. But he could be the complete opposite. He could come in and be one of Spurs' key players next year. I think the thing that stands to him is the fact that he can play a multitude of positions, which under that system for Ange is probably going to be incredibly beneficial. I think if Spurs can manage to get Eze in through the door, which is the big talk at the minute, I could see Eze again. Not that I like to say that one player is the difference maker, but Eze is the type of player where he's been on the precipice now for a little while, and I think next season we're really, if he's in a Spurs shirt, we could really see the best of Eberechi Eze in the Premier League. And I think with Ange and the squad that Spurs already have established, I think Son's going to play through the middle next year. He's looking more and more like a number 9 with the goals that he managed to get last year. I could see Spurs being a real problem for teams next season.
I'll be honest, I agree largely on what you're saying. even the thing about Douglas Luiz at Aston Villa, I think he was influential and inspirational for Aston Villa. However, irreplaceable, no. I think I wouldn't say Villa got a brilliant deal by Juventus, but like every club in the Premier League, they're facing these PSR rules. They had to sell. They got £25 million plus. This Samuel Elling Jr. is meant to be unbelievable. So you could see him be fantastic. I don't know much about the other fella who came into Spurs, into Villa, but you just never know. I think with Villa, I agree with Villa not making the top four because I think, yes, they've played in European competition before. This is the Champions League. You're playing the best of the best. You're going to face more strenuous games. I feel like there's going to be a good few injuries at Aston Villa. However, there's still some incomings to come in at Villa, and potentially big incomings with Unai Emery as the manager. You're always going to get a good pull there. In terms of Spurs, I can't say I know anything about Archie Gray. I've just seen what other people have said about him. The only game I ever watched him in was in the Championship playoff final, and I didn't think he performed exceptionally well, if I'm being totally honest. But he's 18. Do you know what I mean? Or 19. He's a young kid. He's going to come in with a lot of potential. My only worry for Spurs, and the reason I don't have them in the top four, I don't think Son is a natural number 9. I think his best position is off the left. You spoke earlier about Arsenal being in for Ivan Toney. Spurs need to be in for an Ivan Toney. If they're looking for a replacement for Kane, which they still are, no disrespect to Richarlison, I think Richarlison's very, very good. He's not good enough to start for a top 4 Premier League club, in my opinion. I think if Spurs got Ivan Toney, you mentioned Eberechi Eze, I think Eze would walk into anything, City included. He'd walk into any of them. I think he's that good. He would change Spurs for the better. They've good depth there. Eze can play off the right as well. Kulusevski and all there as well. Obviously, Maddison plays the same role as Eze. Maddison's towards the back end, he wasn't so great, and he knows that himself. But at the start of the season, he was influential for Spurs. If they sign a good number 9, my opinion, Ivan Toney, if they can get Ivan Toney for £30 to £40 million, they get him in through the door. Proven in the Premier League, guaranteed to score you double figures every season in the Premier League. Yeah, they have a real squad there. Really, really do. Young defence and all too. Solid defence. They've good foundations there. And my opinion would change. If they sign at number 9 like Ivan Toney, absolutely, I think Spurs could get in the top 4. But until they do that, I don't think they're utilising Heung-min Son as much as they could.
Yeah, and look, I think that's a fair enough assessment, to be honest, Oran. It's we do have 5, 6, 7 teams there that realistically are knocking on the door, and they're there or thereabouts. Obviously, like you said, it's the 23rd of July here. Not everybody has got every transfer that they want to make in through the door yet. So, when we do our Premier League predictions a week out before the season, because we're only 3 weeks out at the minute, but when we do our revised predictions and when we try and get the rest of the lads on for you as well to give their opinions too, maybe it'll have changed. Maybe it will have changed.
Maybe United will be my winners.
You never know. You never know, lad. You never know. But we'll go all the way from those European places and we will head down to the bottom 3 now. Oran 3 teams come up this season, and already a lot of pundits writing all 3 of them off already. Ipswich, first time they've been in the Premier League in a long time. Kieran McKenna, former Manchester United man. What do you think? What hope are you giving a team like Ipswich, even the likes of Southampton there, who were in the Premier League for years? Okay, yes, had a poor season a couple of years ago, did a bit of a madness trying to sign all the youth, guys that were under the age of 20 years of age, expected them to stay in the Premier League. But what do you think? And then there's a team like Nottingham Forest there, Oran, who have just about stayed above relegation the last 2 seasons. Same with Everton. What do you think? Who's your bottom 3?
See, again, it's tough. I feel Leicester have enough to stay up. I feel Southampton have enough to stay up. I feel like Ipswich would be the easy one for me to say will get relegated. However, having seen Kieran McKenna pull off a madness the last 2 years and get 2 promotions back to back, he could go on and get Champions League football. Do you know what I mean? It's not realistic.
Imagine.
It'd be crazy, but no, I don't think you get Champions League football. I do feel Ipswich will get relegated, but I think it's only based off their signings. Like I've had this conversation with some of the other boys, and it's the exact same feeling I got with Luton last year. They could stay in the Premier League, but I don't feel you can prepare yourself and prepare your team for Premier League football by signing players from the Championship and from the Football League. You need to be signing players with Premier League experience. If we look at Luton Town last year, they signed the likes of Chong, they signed all these boys from the Championship. They done okay. Their best player last season was Ross Barkley, who had Premier League experience. He's went to Aston Villa. Brilliant signing for Villa. Villa at only 5 million, going back to Villa. But if you're not signing players with Premier League experience, or at least experience in top European leagues, you're not gonna do well. If you're signing Championship players, you've got a Championship squad then. Do you know what I mean? I just feel they need to improve, and they haven't done that yet. They haven't signed any real big names. You know, they signed Amari Hutchinson for £30 million or something. I don't feel he's worth £30 million. He had a good season with them last year. Just because he's coming from Chelsea. You know, he was a free agent 2 years ago, was released by Arsenal, and he's signing for £30 million or £25 million, whatever it is. And he's their statement signing. If he's what McKenna wants and McKenna needs, yeah, fair enough. But I felt that money could have been issued elsewhere. My bottom three, yeah, Ipswich is in it. No particular order. Ipswich is in it. I think Wolves are going to be in the bottom three. I think Wolves are going to get relegated this season. And to be honest, if they lose Ivan Toney, I think Brentford's going down. It is a big call.
Brentford is a big call.
But I think Brentford's going down. Yeah, if they lose Ivan Toney, if they don't, I think they'll be safe. But, you know, if they're, you know, apparently they're going to re-sign Neil Maupay from Everton. If they sign Neil Maupay and lose Ivan Toney, yeah, they're in the bin.
Well, they have signed that striker from Club Brugge. Yeah. Sorry, forgive me, I can't remember his name. Scored a lot of goals for Bruges. £35 million in through the door there. He's a Brazilian fella.
Oh right. Oh,
Thiago something or.
It is. It's just Thiago, isn't it?
It might be.
It is. Yeah, he scored 2 goals for them in the
pre-season. He, from what I've seen from him, again, not that I watch Club Brugge on a regular, but from what I've seen, he looks like a promising talent. But again, you know, I said the same thing about Beto last year when he came to Everton. I thought Beto was going to come into the Premier League and be a nuisance. So, look, if he settles and scores goals, I don't fear too much for Brentford. Wolves, I think you bring up an interesting point there with Wolves. Wolves are kind of in the bin here at the minute, like, aren't they? Squad's not great.
Couple of good players. Up by Jake Gomez.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And if Neto stays fit, you would give them a chance, but the likelihood of Neto staying fit for a full season is just, it's not going to happen realistically.
It's more likely than unlikely that he stays fit.
Yeah.
Or that he gets injured.
Well, I would be like you, Oran. You know, I was on a women of prayer last season. I hoped Luton stayed up. I like having a team like Luton in the league, so I was gutted to see them go down, but I feel like Ipswich are that similar sort of side. You know, it's great to have them back in the Premier League. They're going to bring great atmospheres. They're one of those traditional clubs in England, you know, like I can remember my granddad talking to me about Ipswich. They are one of those, they're one of the big clubs in England, you know, maybe not so much in their recent history, but they're one of those household names. It's great to have them back, but I'm like you, Oran. I think they're going to get relegated too. I think Wolves as well. I have them in the bottom three. I've gone for Forest. I think they've made some smart additions. We don't know how they're going to settle. It's the same with any transfer. You know, we don't realistically know what they're going to look like till they're out on the pitch and they're kicking ball. You know, they lost Anthony Alanga, who was a big player for them last season.
Well, he's not away yet.
Well, close. It looks like he's going. Yeah, he's not quite away yet, but let's just say for talk's sake that, you know, that deal goes through. I think that'll be a big miss for them. Never thought I'd say that there, that Anthony Alanga would be a big miss for a team. Yeah, but here we are, it's 2024. I just, you know, the transfer policy, the constant signing of players, the turnover in players, to me, this is just not sustainable, and I'm really waiting for it to completely self-implode at that football club. You know, the fans are completely unhappy with the ownership model. Like the owner, remember that famous incident last season, Oran, where the owner come down onto the side of the pitch? Like, to me, that's just a melting pot of a football club. And again, they're one of the big names in English football. I don't particularly want to see them go down, but I just think, you know, this model that they have, this transfer policy, you know, even, you know, look, people are probably going to have a go at me for this, but I don't think Nuno's a great manager either. That's just my personal opinion. I know he worked wonders with Wolves a few years ago, but like when I look at him now, he's like a shell of a man. I don't think he's the same Nuno that was at Wolves. I think from he left Wolves, he's kind of been on a downward spiral. I fancy them to go down this year. I know the City Ground is a massive, great stadium, great atmospheres. They always get up for their home games, but I could see them really getting handed a few spankings this season, to be honest. And I said it last season. I thought they were going to get relegated. I'm going to back it this season as well. I don't think Forest will be in the league next year.
Yeah, it's not out of the realms. Definitely, they'll definitely be fighting relegation. Yeah, for sure.
Obviously having a player like Gibbs White there is so important. If they manage to keep a hold of him, and there's not really been much talk about him leaving the club anyway. But
saying that fella Anderson from Newcastle, well, he's decent.
He is decent. He is a decent player, no doubt about it. Like I said, like they definitely do look stronger at this point than they did maybe last season. But I just feel like if they were to lose Alanga, do they have a number 9 in there that's gonna score them double-digit Premier League goals? I don't think Awoniyi is going to get them double-digit.
Does fit. I feel he could, but he wasn't fit all last season. He could be a different player completely.
Yeah, we just don't know. So, surprise package, Oran. There's a number of teams in there. Brighton, new manager. Unfortunately, they lost De Zerbi, who has gone on to pastures new. He's now at Marseille. But they have a young manager in through the door, and we know what Brighton's recruitment department's like. We know what they do. They're an excellent run football club. I don't think we would ever have them in the conversation of being relegated. But what do you think in terms of your surprise package for the season? Is there any club like a Brighton perhaps that you look at and you think, yeah, okay?
It's mad what you just said. My surprise package is Brighton to be fighting relegation. 100%, lad. 100%. My surprise package is Brighton to be fighting relegation. Brighton and Fulham. I think they'll be fighting relegation.
Fulham, I can see.
Yeah. Don't think they'll get relegated, but I think they'll be down there. I really, really do. I think it'll be like Leicester after they won the FA Cup. They'll just be down there.
You were sitting smiling at me the whole time there, and I was like, did I say something wrong?
fully, you were like, oh, I'll never have that conversation. Wait, let's have the conversation. Because I fully think they'll be down there. I think they'll be really middle of the road this season, Brighton. I don't know anything about this manager. He could come in and be a revelation. And it could be completely wrong, and that's fine. But my opinion at the minute is I think, Brighton will be fighting relegation. I think, they've lost De Zerbi, who really was their linchpin. I think their linchpin on the pitch is Pascal Gross, and he's about to go back to the Bundesliga. And I know he's 32 or whatever. Yeah, Brighton have all this amazing young talent. They don't play Evan Ferguson. They've that much up front that they're not getting the best out of this young talent at the minute, in my opinion. And I don't necessarily think that their defence is as strong as it was maybe 2 or 3 seasons ago. That's just my opinion. I think Brighton's going to be fighting relegation, yeah.
But look, I think the reasons you gave, I can absolutely understand where you're coming from. The only reason I wouldn't have them down that far is just, I feel like with, you think, lad, when we started the bottom bins, the one thing we've always said about Brighton is we've praised Brighton from the top to the bottom. Yeah. And I just like to hope and think that they have it that right at the top, that hopefully, they're not placed into a situation like that. But I mean, for the reasons you gave there, I mean, I agree with you. I don't think they utilise those forwards to their best potential. And I think that was something De Zerbi struggled with last season. Does he pick Pedro? Does he pick Ferguson? Who's going to get him the most goals? 2 top players, by the way. 2 really good talents, and 2 talents that will score you goals in the Premier League. But I do agree with that sentiment with you. I have West Ham as my surprise package. I think West Ham could be in and amongst the European places.
Well, you think they'll be up there?
Yeah, I do.
Making good signings.
They are. I think the business they've done so far is very smart. New manager coming in as well. Look, again, Lopetegui's record in the Premier League there with Wolves was pretty good. It was a shock. It was a shock to... I can remember when myself and Dorman did the predictions last season. It was a shock to both of us. He announced it on air that, Lopetegui had left. He's a manager with a lot of pedigree. He's managed some of the top clubs in world football, Real Madrid. I think he's going to come in there, and I think he's going to really turn it around at West Ham. Now, one of the earliest rumours we broke of the window was that Paqueta was possibly going to be leaving West Ham. I don't think that's going to happen anymore.
I still think it will.
Do you think so?
Yeah, look, West Ham don't want to be involved in that drama. They don't, but they're looking at a permanent transfer. I think Paqueta goes back to Brazil. And look, I feel saying a surprise package is a bit far-fetched for West Ham, because if you look at last season, they were 2 places off getting European football. But they are making good recruitment, as you said. The manager, very, very good. I think Paqueta goes though. Do you know what I mean? And that could be huge for them, because he was their man. He was a creative mastermind. So if they get somebody in to replace him, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I think, just when you look at that front three in particular, they've strengthened at the back. They've brought Kilman in. Now, I do think they overpaid, but...
Yeah, but look, for an English talent like that there, they overpaid, but is he worth 40 million to Wolves?
Yeah, he probably was. Yeah. But when you think of the season that Kudus is coming off, Bowen looked back to his best last season as well. Again, they're another club, I feel like, if they just had maybe not a number 9 that was going to score them 20 goals in the Premier League, but if they had a number 9 in there that would score them 13, 14 goals in the Premier League, I think we would probably be talking about West Ham in a different conversation. We might even push them a bit further up the table. The only reason I have them down as a surprise package is I think it's just because we just don't know. We just don't know what West Ham are going to be next season. Are they going to look more of the same as what they did under David Moyes? Is it going to be completely revolutionised? Is West Ham a team next year that, teams are going to go to and they're going to be like, oh God, we have to go and play West Ham now. So that's the only reason I had them in the surprise package. And finally, Oran, just to wrap it up. I mean, it's early yet. We've not kicked the ball yet, but early predictions for Premier League Player of the Year.
Well, look, I went Man City. You're going to win the league. I think it would be stupid of him not to go Erling Haaland again. He's going to score the most goals. Yeah, I feel he'll deserve it, to be honest. I don't think it's... There's nobody else in my mind that came in straight away that I'm like, oh yeah, he's either going to come into the Premier League and be unbelievable, or he's going to outshine Erling Haaland. But I think it'll be between Bukayo Saka and Erling Haaland.
Yeah. Well, funny. You've just mentioned my pick. I've gone for Saka. I think if Arsenal's going to win the league, I think ultimately he's going to be the catalyst that drives them there. He's already a game changer. We've seen it. I think one of the things you could say about the Euros, and in particular about England's Euros, is, I would say only 4 players really stood up for England in the Euros, and to me, the 2 best players for England across all the games were Saka and Cole Palmer. And it's crazy that they both play in the same position, but I thought both of them can hold their heads high. I thought they were both excellent, to be completely honest. And Saka is a player that I personally have raved about from we started this channel. And honestly, I think if I could have one thing happen in world football, if I could have one wish come true, with Man United go and sign Saka. I love him that much. I think he's that good. So I fancy him for Player of the Year next year.
Odegaard's going to be up there too.
Absolutely. Look, you know who the top performers in the Premier League are. They very rarely let us down. De Bruyne is probably going to be in the conversation as well. Let's hope maybe someone from the outside gives us a shout. Possibly. You never know. Here, maybe Salah scores 30 goals in the league. We just don't know. But that's going to do it for our early predictions, folks. Thank you very much for watching. Please get across all our socials. Give us a follow, give us a like, a subscribe, whatever that platform is asking you to do. Please do it. Don't be afraid to get in contact with us either. If there's something you would like us to discuss, we'll absolutely do that for you. Or anything to add, really? Social media ways, or
head Instagram. Make sure and head over to Instagram. That's where we're doing the most work at the minute. It's probably where you're going to see most of our content first. Unlike these videos, these are exclusive to YouTube, but there is, we're potentially going to be doing like a subscriber thing on Instagram. So definitely check that out. And a giveaway will be on Instagram in the next week or so if it's not already up. So definitely check that out and get your own.
keep your eyes open for that giveaway. It's a good one. It's a really good one. If you haven't already, check out our previous videos. We'll try and get them linked into the video here. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and keep it bottom bins.
Keep it bottom bins.